Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. As I repeatedly say, it's always good to be with you. And as I'm always asked to say, we are in the Middle East. Well, some of us are some of the time. I'm not at the moment. But we're the Leadership Challenge Middle East. I'm Graham Moore, Certified Master of the Leadership Challenge. And I've been the Certified Master for over 10 years. And the Leadership Challenge has absolute relevance completely if you are a leader, and wherever you are, it has relevance. If you are a leader, no, take out the if. We are all leaders. Leadership is everybody's business. So after that lengthy introduction today, I'd like to say good morning to Mohammed Shukri in Bahrain. Good morning, Mohammed.
Good morning, Phoebe and Graham. Good to be with you in the Leadership Challenge Middle East.
And Phoebe, good morning to you in Dubai, where I believe it's getting hotter. Oh, it's getting hotter in Bahrain as well.
Greetings, Mohammed and Graham. Good to be in company with both of you and to have this conversation today. And greetings to all our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, well, Phoebe, I need your help. Can you help me?
Of course.
Oh, that's good. I was worried that I might not be so successful in what we're going to talk about today, so I need some help. I'm going to say that the reason that I was concerned that it might not be successful is that I thought maybe I will fail.
Yeah.
So my question, and I want you to explore this, is Mohammed saying, "Oh, Graham, poor sense of humor, okay." So the question is, and I'd like you to run with this today and guide us through this discussion: can leaders fail?
Yeah, thank you, Graham. And this is a question which sometimes I also reflect within myself. So we often hear that failure is a stepping stone to success. But my thought process is, but as a leader, can he or she afford to fail once or more than once? And I just want to pick your brain in this process. Is failure part of leadership journey, or does it signal the end of some of the leaders? What are your thoughts at this point? How you see from a leadership challenge perspective? Is failure part of leadership journey? The floor is open.
Wow, Mohammed.
Okay, that's really interesting because when we look at every skill in the world, everything we take up, whether it's professional, whether it's behavioral, anything we do, actually, anything we get involved in, we will fail at it at a certain point, and that's part of growth. And they say those who don't make mistakes are those who don't do anything. But when it comes to leadership, it gets a bit tricky. You see, the leader is responsible, let us say, for a number of people that he or she is leading. And these people are watching for mistakes, and he is supposed to help them overcome the mistakes or failures. And suddenly, he also is the one who is failing. Now, who is noticing? Who is helping the leader? What people will look at how will they look at oh, this is the leader and he did that. Oh, that's not acceptable at all. So we want to talk about this a little because leaders do fail, like any of their constituents or co-workers they work with. But how do we look at this and how do we analyze this is what we are here about.
Thank you, Mohammed. Graham?
Well, first, I'd like to explore the word fail. As many of you, or most of you too, know, the use of words in the English language is something that I'm very careful to get right because I understand the implications of the semantics that we use. And I know that Jim and Barry, the authors of the Leadership Challenge, also very particular about words and the way we use the words and the power of those words. So let's look at the word fail for a moment. Fail can seem to mean halas, finish. Just practicing my Arabic. I hope you don't mind. Finish. Fail can be the end. But we also talk about failures in small ways. Some little things can happen. It can be a failure. The word fail is quite significant in its context. Usually, I failed my exam. Oh, wow, that means you didn't pass and you're not going to get on to the next level because you failed that exam. Yes, but there can be failures along the way. And one of the things that I'd like leaders who are listening to us now to be aware that if we frame up the word fail in our mind, that it can seem a little bit more, well, here am I going with bigger words, catastrophic than it really is. It can be just a little blip on the way we're driving, a pothole, if we like. And sometimes we can say, oh, I failed. And if we frame it up that way, it can impact negatively on the way we are thinking, the way through the issues that may have occurred. So let's think, of course, that leaders learn every day. And if there's a mistake, if there's a problem, if there's an issue, if there are failures, then they're going to learn. But let's talk for a moment, though, can I suggest, about what sort of failures that leaders might experience.
I think, Graham, something coming to my mind is I heard this phrase somewhere down the line. I don't remember where it was, where and when it was, whether it was in my initial days of work or in my college days. Fail means first attempt in learning. And what I feel is like we know that in the leadership challenge, the first practice is model the way. Now, if as a leader, I am not modeling the way, I have to admit, oh, I made a mistake in that. And I think that admission will actually improve the level of trust which the people who are working with you in an organization or in a family might be very keen to hear, because yes, as a leader, you are failing and you are admitting, and it also shows the vulnerability which you may have. Like, for example, in my case, I look back, Graham, I was interacting with you about the Maven course, and I was unable to launch it on time, and I had that. I feel that I'm failing in that process, So I had to admit to you that, Graham, I couldn't do that. That is a failure, which I internally have difficulty to admit, but I have to admit. So again, so what we when we say that, and when you hear that, I don't know what the feeling you are having, but I feel okay. I have conveyed my value in that process. That is modeling the way as a leader.
I think you're right. Sorry, go ahead, Mohammed.
I can bring an example. When I first was promoted to a leadership, or let me say management level, where now I will be seen as a leader, in a corporate context, I remember the company sent me and other newly promoted staff to an outdoor high-level leadership training done by an external group. So we did that outdoor for a few days. The last day was the last task to climb down a cliff, a very small cliff, but there has to be safety gear and ropes. And I was leading a team within that group, so leader of a small team. And when my time came and I had to come down, the assistants were there. I took the rope. I came down with huge outward courage. And to the degree I was swinging, and I did a very unsafe act because I wanted to do something really powerful. When I came down, the head of the training said, "Why did you do that? That was unsafe." I said, "No, I had to show that I am stronger. I had to show zero fear because I am a role model for my team." He said, "No, You are just as a human as them. And it's okay for leaders to be afraid, to be vulnerable. And you don't have to be a superhuman to be a leader. That stuck with me until today, that the way we think when we are as leaders, we should be infallible. We should be so, stressed on not making a mistake or else we are doomed. That's not the case at all. And I wish leaders also understand that they can make mistake, but how are they gonna address that mistake is the lesson for them and the lesson for the people who follow them.
I want to say that two words that you've just used are really very important, and to me, are representative of the best leaders. And that is authenticity and vulnerability.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that cough is indicating my vulnerability at the moment. If a leader admits his or her problems or concerns or issues, other people relate to that. The leader cannot be seen to be absolutely perfect in every way. And if a leader says to the team, guys, I don't know the answer to this. What do you think? He's drawing their knowledge and wisdom into providing a solution. He's not simply going to say, oh my gosh, I don't know the answer to this. I have failed as a leader. No, let's just reinforce the point that I think I touched on earlier, and that is the impact of the word fail. It's catastrophic. I failed. Well, I remember years ago when I was doing sales training, and I haven't heard this story, but many years, and I don't know how true it was, but we used to say, when the man who invented lights, his name is
Thomas Edison.
Edison, right? And he kept making. He took him many attempts. Well, I don't know how exaggerated this story is, but the story goes that when he got to 10,000 attempts, he was finally successful. And one of his assistants said, kind of put in a negative way, said, well, you've just failed 9,999 times. Ha ha. And he said, no, I've just proven that there are 9,999 times not to make electricity. So he's reframing the word fail and turning it into a positive. And that, I think, is something that we should all focus on, reframing it and thinking, well, I've learned from what's just occurred. And you know what? I'm not going to make it happen again. One thing about the word fail and I think it's worth going down this path for a moment, is that many leaders who move into the role of a leadership functionary in an organization, male and female, have this little thing which we call imposter syndrome. Oh my gosh, I don't think I'm good enough. Oh my gosh, I've now got a budget of 6 million and I've got all these people who are relying on me, and they think I'm the smartest person on the universe, and some of them don't, and some of them don't want me to be doing the job, and I don't know that I can do the job because, and so this little voice takes over and they talk themselves into possible failure. So I think it's important, as we talk about this failure concept, that we remind people who might be going through, and I know it applies to males as well as females, there's imposter syndrome, where we have feelings and concerns that we are not good enough. How can I be the one who can achieve these great results? But when you are there learning, when you are listening to your people, when you're accepting their views, when you're empowering them, when you've created a vision for where we're going to go, all of these things, as we know, are part of the 5 practices of exemplary leadership. Failure is not then an option. It's a learning experience, yes. And it's a learning experience that should be embraced by everybody. But we point the finger at someone who has failed. And it's almost a disgrace, isn't it? Oh, I feel shame personally, perhaps, because I failed. No. I remember a woman who I knew in Dubai who I was married, and I thought she still was, and I made a comment about, oh, you're no longer married, and her response was fairly unique. She said, yes, you can't be good at everything. So she wasn't regarding her marriage as so much of a failure, I guess, as to say, well, I wasn't so good at it. You can't be good at everything, but I'm good at a whole lot of other things, but just not so good at marriage. And we should be aware of how, we all have gifts and we all have talents, and we should all believe in ourselves. So, Phoebe, take this discussion further, please.
Yeah, so thank you, Graham, for sharing that story, which is creating a question to Mohammed also at this point. Mohammed, can you think of a time when you look back, a leader you admire failed? And again, the question is open to Graham also. And for example, it actually led to strengthen their credibility or relationships, because that failure has given the person the strength. Is there any stories or insights which come to your mind from both of your past experiences?
I can't think of a leader who didn't fail.
Okay.
I can't think, yeah. But it's very difficult to remember a leader who dealt with it in a way I can stick to my mind. But I do know that leadership, as always, we hear from and we learn from Graham that it's a relationship. Now, imagine when you're in a relationship. In a relationship, people make mistakes. They are vulnerable. They apologize to each other in a relationship. Now, I want to underscore apologize. If you make a mistake, it's normal to apologize and to admit that was not right. That shouldn't be the case. And otherwise, if you go as if nothing went wrong, you are establishing a case for a precedent that this is okay to do. You cannot let things to, as a leader, you should take responsibility and you say, this was wrong. Now, in my life with the leaders I was with, I don't remember anyone did that. But we saw on TV many leaders, ministers, prime ministers, and possibly, I don't know, country leaders. They went up to face their people and say, did, I, I did a mistake and I apologize. And maybe when I say that, you remember some names around the globe in history. So leaders do apologize at least and admit it was a mistake. So in your normal small compartment or section or team, it's totally fine to say, I made a mistake. People will still say, yeah, this is our leader, all right? And we understand. And I think that's really normal, human.
Can I add a little bit in there when you talk about leaders apologizing? And what comes to my mind is and this is very cultural, of course, and this is within the Japanese culture and the Korean culture, and there's probably others in Asia. And there have been, I'm sure you may remember, significant failures of corporations in Japan and Korea. There are two countries that specifically come to mind. And the managing director or the senior executive fronts the public, if we like, or is in front of the cameras or in front of the staff, and he apologizes and he bows in giving his apology. He bows, I'm sorry, it's my fault. And he doesn't deflect from that. He accepts and says, yes, it was my fault. But it's one of those things that, leaders should accept the fault, but they share the accolades when it's successful. So leaders take, yep, this has been my responsibility. After all, I'm charged as being the leader of this organization or this team, and it rests with me. But before he gets or she gets to that point, he or she should be able to say to the team, guys, I got a problem. I can see that we are getting some things going the right way, but I can also see that if we keep doing this, potentially we're in for a big problem. So I would like some feedback from you guys. I'd like your input on what do you think we should do to avoid this potential failure. So talk to me. Tell me what.
And may I
Yes.
and may I add, when it comes to the leadership challenge and the 5 practices, the mistakes or the failures get a lot less, significant. And because when you share a vision, see, when you have a shared vision, when you go on a journey with your team where everybody has something to say in it, when you enable others to act, when you allow others to challenge the process, all right, it's not only you, it's us. It's when everybody, if there's something gets wrong along the way, who will get responsible for it? Guess what? Who? All of us, because all of us said we should do this. All of us took part in this. When you are in the leadership challenge, it becomes so manageable. Mistakes become so manageable, so minute, and they become a stepping stone rather than a roadblock. Okay, so in the leadership challenge, the 5 practices, you will find yourself in a group of people who all of them claim the mistake, not only the leader. That's the beauty of the leadership challenge.
Yeah. And look, I think that a couple of things that are important. One is that I don't want leaders to be waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and unable to get back to sleep because they're concerned about an imminent failure and they're taking complete responsibility for it. Yes, I understand that they are the decision finally rests with them. But when you have a discussion with your team, they may well come up with an idea that's going to change the world for you at that time. It may be a solution that's going to change things. I remember, and I think I may have mentioned this, some years ago when I was producing television programs, we had a television drama that was cancelled by the television network. It wasn't successful, and they said, we're not going to keep doing this. No, we're going to give you notice of not continuing. And when I had told the crew about this decision, now I'm the producer of the program, and I report to an executive producer and the managing director of the company, who's the same person, I think, in this case. I have many factors going against me in terms of the success of this program that I had to manage and get the best out of. But when I told the crew about this potential failure, their response was, we are not going to let this become a failure. We are going to work even harder to make the network sorry that they have made this cancellation. We're going to make a better product. We're going to work even more effectively and creatively because we believe in what we are doing. And this came because of the conversation that I had with them. And when leaders have conversations to the team about problems, the team can well and truly come up with ideas as to how we can get through. So leaders, please don't believe that this problem is yours. You please share it with others. Talk to your team. Show your vulnerability. That shows your authenticity. Don't just believe that you have got Teflon all around you and that nothing can affect you. Talk to your team about the problems. And guess what? They may have some wonderful suggestions so that it doesn't become a failure.
I think this is actually leading to, the perspective of, failure lead to new innovations. And
Yes.
I like to connect it with what Mohammed mentioned, challenge the process, give that freedom. And when that freedom is expressed by the leader, and I'm sure the team will be encouraged in that process to come out with new and brilliant ideas.
Yeah.
Where innovation thrives. And this is also, again, it is that saying doing gap. Do what you say you will do.
I'm going to refer to some simple philosophy that my dear departed mother, she had some very simple philosophy, but a lot of it was really powerful. She would say, a problem shared is a problem halved. And in simple terms, what she was saying is if the leader in that we're talking about now talks to his team or talks to a mentor or coach that he or she might have, that's going to help them get a better perspective on what they thought was an imminent failure or a failure that may have happened because they had no way of stopping, so that they're not feeling too heavily brought down by what has happened. Because when they share it with others, the others are going to have a better idea or a different idea or a possible solution to help things move forward.
Oh, if I'm going to say something, maybe this is probably the last thing. See, the world is going to celebrate the Father's Day tomorrow, I guess. And we are all three of us are fathers in this podcast. And many fathers are following, and probably anyone who's watching, this is my message. Fathers also fail in their fatherhood, okay? But they are still fathers. And nobody will rip away from them that title that they are fathers. On Father's Day, whether you're given a gift or a message or a party, whatever, the people around you see you as a father. They celebrate you. They love you. They want you. And yet we can make mistakes as fathers, all right? And we don't withdraw and say, no, I'm not a father anymore because I made a mistake. No, it doesn't remove your fatherhood. But your fatherhood will come in and make you how you deal with that mistake. How will you deal with the mistake as a father is what makes you a father. Similarly, as a leader, how you deal with the mistakes and the failure is exactly part of your leadership. That's what makes you a successful leader, actually. That failure, how you deal with it, makes you a successful leader. You are a leader, regardless. So know that and deal with it like a leader.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Shakri.
Yes.
This is coming to this thought process. As leadership is everyone's business, maybe failing is too. And what we can do is, how can we all fail forward in our own leadership journeys?
Beautiful.
And see setbacks not as endings, but as beginnings.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. And, if you're a leader, there are bigger challenges and bigger opportunities that are going to come your way. So believe in yourself as a leader, always believe in yourself. There might be setbacks. There are setbacks in life that happen in all sorts of different ways, some small, some larger, but believe in yourself. Understand the importance of the relationship with your team. Understand completely that leaders learn every day. And therefore, failure is not an option. It may not have worked out the way you want it to work out, but it ain't the end of the world. The sun will still come up again tomorrow.
On that note,
happy Father's
thank you,
Day
everyone.
to those who are with us.
Yeah, and friends, thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing and bringing us your thoughts, and feel free to bring the comments, share the content. And also, in case you want to pick our brains with regard to your leadership challenge, reach out.
Absolutely. If you have a specific area of leadership you'd like us to explore with you, please, as Phoebe just said, reach out. We're here to be reached out to. Thank you, gentlemen. I look forward to being with you again next week. Have a great, successful leadership week ahead.